Good morning, everyone. Welcome to the Terrace Talk. The subject today is the nature of the new covenant and new commands, as we've been comparing the new and the old covenants and the new and the old commands. So in Jeremiah 31 to 33 says, "Behold, the days come, says Yahuwah, that I will make a new covenant with the house of Israel and with the house of Judah, not according to the covenant that I made with their fathers in the day that I took them by hand to bring them out of the land of Egypt, which my covenant they broke, although I was a husband to them, said Yahuwah. But this shall be the covenant that I will make with the house of Israel after those days, said Elohim. I will put my laws in their inward parts and write it in their hearts, and will be their Elohim, and they shall be my people." This new covenant is called an everlasting covenant, in which Elohim promises, "I will not turn away from doing good to them. I will put the fear of me in their hearts, that they will not turn from me." This was prophesied way back in Jeremiah, and also in Ezekiel 36, 26 to 27 promises this: "I will give you a new heart and put a new spirit in you. I will remove from you your heart of stone and give you a heart of flesh." This was Ezekiel's prophecy, and this internal transformation and personal relationship we come to know is with Yahusha. The New Testament identifies Yahusha's blood, as the means by which this new covenant is established, fulfilling the sacrificial system of the Old Testament and pointing to his role as the ultimate Passover lamb. So we have this transitioning. We have the transformation where Yahuwah left the throne and came into flesh, becoming Yahusha, a new creation, a new man, full of humanity and divinity mixed together. Something very different. He came to earth to be with humanity, to show us the way. The two new commands. These are the two new commands for us. You shall love Yahusha Elohim with all your heart, with all your being, and with all your mind. This is the first and great commandment, and the second is like it. You shall love your neighbor as yourself. On these two commandments hang all the law and the prophets. So it's fulfilling. Everything in the old culminates into these two royal laws of love. Yahusha's new covenant. In the new covenant are those who call upon the name Yahusha, referring to the agreement established through his life, death, and resurrection. It's understood as the fulfillment and replacement of the old covenant established between Yahuwah and the Israelites through Moses, that was broken, and they were banished into captivity. Yahusha's presence gone and the temple destroyed. So the old covenant was done away with because of their idolatry, because they broke the covenant. Now let's understand the new covenant of Yahusha. Many people can't understand and just accept the new covenant. They want to mix the two, the old and the new. But the new covenant of Yahusha is the fulfillment of prophecy. Constantly in the old, through history, prophecy has been fulfilled. And when Yahusha came, he fulfilled all prophecy. in so many ways. As believers in Yahushua, we know the new covenant was prophesied in the Old Testament and established through Yahushua. Yahushua is the mediator of this new covenant in Hebrews 9. His sacrifice is seen as the ultimate atonement for sin, making the animal sacrifices and ceremonial laws of the old covenant obsolete. His blood is the blood of the new covenant. His blood was the blood of the new covenant. He was the lamb, the sacrificial lamb. Unlike the Old Covenant, which was primarily focused on external laws and rituals, the New Covenant emphasizes an internal transformation through the Spirit and fire baptisms. Believers in Yahushua receive the Spirit, which empowers them to live according to Elohim's will. Repentance and forgiveness of sins are all central parts of the new covenant, and complete forgiveness of sins through belief in Yahushua. Their sins and lawlessness, I will remember them no more. The new covenant extends beyond the physical descendants of Abraham to include Gentiles, non-Jews, who believe in Yahushua in Romans 9. They become part of the spiritual body and bride of Yahushua. That's where we become. That's who we are in. Elohim's law is now written on our hearts, on the hearts of believers through the Spirit, leading to a life of love and obedience. It's an eternal covenant. The new covenant is described as an everlasting or eternal covenant in Hebrews 13, through the blood of the everlasting covenant. We understand and believe that Yahushua is Elohim. A new relationship between Yahushua and humanity is established, is characterized by acceptance, forgiveness of sin, and the indwelling presence of Yahushua. The old covenant couldn't forgive sin, couldn't get rid of sin. They had to keep doing sacrifices. But here we have Yahushua characterized in this way. In John 13, a new commandment I give to you, that you love one another just as I have loved you. You also are to love one another. By this all people will know that you are my disciples, if you have love one for another. So we have in this commandment, the first one, to love for Elohim. The first part of the great commandment, love your Elohim. The second part, love your neighbor. The second part, love your neighbor as yourself. It's very simple, broken down to make it easy for us. Yahushua emphasizes them as the foundation of all other commandments. He added the idea that this love should be exercised towards everyone, not just within one nation. There is no other commandment greater than these. Fulfilling and living the new commands in the New Testament isn't just following a new set of rules, but about a transformation of heart that leads to a specific change of behavior. You will know them by their love one for another. The most important and prominent new command given by Yahushua himself in John 13 is to love one another. Just as I have loved you, so you must love one another. To love others as he loved us. This is self-sacrifice, unconditional and profound love. And we can't love others unless we have Yahusha's love inside us, his spirit. Love for Elohim, the emphasis on loving Elohim with your whole being, heart, being, mind, strength, in Mark 12 says, is central and undergirds all other commands. One another commands. The New Testament is full of one another's commands, detailing how believers should interact within the community of belief, and that's really everywhere. Love one another, serve one another, forgive one another, encourage one another, bear with, be patient with one another, be kind and compassionate to one another. All these one another's. Submit to one another. And these are the fruits of righteousness. This is our behaviour. How to fulfill and live these commands? How can we get to put this into our action in ourselves? How do we fulfill this wonderful, wonderful command to love? We progress through the vein of deliverance into the spiritual narrow gate. Transformation of our heart. This isn't about an outward compliance, but an inward change brought about by the Spirit. As believers, we are united with Yahusha and receive his Spirit baptism when we get a new heart which empowers us to love as he loved. This is how we can have his love and give to others. So amazing. Yahusha says in John 15, remain in me as I also remain in you. Apart from me, you can do nothing. Living out these commands requires a constant connection with Yahusha through hearing and reading his word and seeking his guidance. So this is how we do it. A constant connection. Our thoughts, our mind, our being, we constantly, what would Yahusha do? Is that right? Is that what his word says? Checking our thoughts. So that constant connection with Yahusha through hearing and reading his word, knowing his word in our hearts, he will give you that. Seeking his guidance. What would you do here, Yahusha? Bring everything to him. Putting love towards Yahusha and others into action. We need the baptism of fire to be able to attain this, because that's what cleanses us and cleans us out. All the habits and those things that we've let in that come up and reveal the spirit that's in our flesh, that's controlled us all our lives. So putting that into action, the baptism of fire gives us a selflessness, giving up our time, where before we just suited ourselves and did what we felt like. Giving up our time for him and others above our own. Repentance and forgiveness to everyone. I'm so sorry. Yes, I've done that. I was like that. I've been like that. Oh, I'll stop that. To everyone and towards those who have wronged us. Compassion. Showing understanding, listening. Compassion. And care for people in trouble. Caring for those around that are in pain, suffering, that don't know this. Service, using our gifts and resources to help others practically. We can do that. And patience, bearing with the problems and weaknesses of others, understanding understanding and patience and waiting and giving people that time. Speaking truth in love in everyday language honestly and kindly, we can do and be like that. They will know you by your behaviour and your love one for another. So that's putting that love, that's how we put that love Yahushua gives us into action. Selflessness, compassion, patience, understanding. Because as we living in our homes, in the quarry we call it, and in the community, it's all we're seen and we're rubbing off one another. The one another. We are called to live in truth, supporting, encouraging and holding each other accountable in love. Yahushua will give us the final mouldings and shaping in this area of the home, the quarry. He moulds and shapes and chips and will bring us to perfection, to maturity. We need to rely and hear Yahushua's Spirit to guide us and produce the fruits of love in our lives by our behaviour. So let's just look at what we've talked about today, the two greatest commands. It says these are the greatest commands. Yahushua replied, love Yahushua Elohim with all your heart and with all your being and with all your mind. This is where we're to go. This is the first and greatest commandment. And the second is like it. Love your neighbour as yourself. All the law and the prophets hang on these two commandments. This is the command Yahushua, our Creator, has given us, how we're to live a righteous life, and will be full of His love, His joy, His happiness, satisfied, knowing that we are right with Him. What a wonderful place to get to be in. This is the result of going through the vein of deliverance. Great to hear, to see you again, brothers and sisters, and hope this helps in some way. Bye for now.